She's
That's
bossy.
what it takes to be in charge, Jim.
She's bossy. Even her mom says so.
Hey there, welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz, California. Hey everyone, this is Liza, and I just wanted to start right away and fill everyone in on the latest Jeep modification.
Oh my word, we got three of it.
I'm going to stop you right now. I'm going to stop you.
What is the name of this pod?
Welcome to the Not a Jeep podcast, coming to you live from sunny Santa Cruz.
All right, I see how it's going to
I
go.
don't even have to say anything. You got piled on.
But I did want to take the opportunity to talk about Wicked, both the musical and the movie.
That's way better than a Jeep.
Please fill
Is
us
it
in.
better than a BJ and a CJ?
Oh, my.
Oh. All right. Hey, everyone, this is Liza. Joining me in the studio tonight, we've got Numbnuts Matt.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Clean shaven, looking good.
Yeah, I lost my beard and my hair and 20 pounds.
You got a face under there.
I did.
You got a face for radio.
That's
I got a face for radio.
On the classic old couch, full of curry vindaloo. It's Miss Emma.
I'm sitting in my own cloud. No, I want to welcome everyone to this week's Jeep podcast.
Oh, I can't wait to hear more, Emma.
Oh, God, over my dead body.
What kind of talk are we going to wrangle tonight?
Oh, dear
I'm here all
me.
night.
Anyway, as always, it's simply lovely to be here.
Also joining us is Scottie.
Doors off, let's go.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Is that an
Ooh.
actual logo or slogan?
It is now.
It is now. You
Yeah.
could also say that about a Jeep.
Well, right now, just the windshield's down, but the doors are on, and it still is cool. And over by the not open window, because how are you going to get out now? Usually, I feel like you're ready to flee at any moment. It's Naked Jim.
What's happening? Hey, glad to be here. Back from Palm Springs via Joshua Tree for a week. Yeah.
You,
good-
love it out there.
Yeah,
I do.
Joshua Tree is awesome.
It was a treat. Yeah.
Especially at this time of year.
Yeah, I'd never really been there. It was
Yeah.
pretty fun. Yeah.
You go to where you relax the most, Joshua Tree. I go to where I relax the most, Times Square.
There you go.
Yeah. Puts you, I'm sure, right at ease. Is in your zone.
A very sedate place.
Liza and Elbow.
And of course, what we're all wondering, we're just talking about Matt, shaved off and he's got a good face under there. We're trying to remember what Bagel looks like without a beard. And I think I remember he looks like a baby.
Yeah, pretty much.
God, you look like a baby.
Like a baby. But yes, I am once again nestled in my warm little nest up here in very chilly Oregon.
In Velveeta, where the
Yes.
cheese is.
cold
However,
and
I should
misty.
point out that Bagel is quite the traveler because not yesterday morning, me and Bagel were attending Baja Cantina's Cars and Coffee in my 1962 Thunderbird.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah.
I am jealous.
And Carmel Valley, were we not?
Yes, it was a sweet ride.
Yeah,
Oh.
and we said goodbye at 9 a.m. So welcome to the Ford Thunderbird Forum. No, but yeah, just hang on. No, but we said goodbye at 9 o'clock, and then you just headed north, young man, didn't you?
Yep, just headed home yesterday. Had a pretty uneventful drive, which was nice, and got home at a very reasonable hour last night. And was very happy to see my kitties at home.
Meow.
Nice.
Meow.
I do actually. I know you're over the Jeep talk, but hold on. Hear me out. I've said that there are a lot of parallels to it, and I just find it interesting that two of the projects that I undertook this week on the Jeep, I was able to do because I've already done them on a motorcycle, which was I put the pinstriping tape on the side, and that's a whole exercise, but it's something that I've done on a motorcycle.
Look pretty good,
And the other
too.
thing is refacing all of the gauges, which I've done on a CB750, because gauges come sealed and you have to know how to get into them
Liza,
and reseal them.
Liza,
So
what is the difference between a Jeep and a public lavatory?
I don't know.
Ha ha! There is none.
Oh, gosh.
No, so I found it interesting that cracking in. And I was going to ask Emma if you've ever refaced gauges.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Because, the thing is, when you restore vintage bikes, the gauges on a motorcycle, they're unfaired bikes. Generally, they sit flat. So getting new faces, particularly for the vintage, the Smiths or the Jaeger instruments, is quite normal. But it's always a chore getting the needles off. Yeah. And if you ever want to refurbish a speedometer, say, and you've got a knackered face on it, and there's a lot of companies that do faces for Hondas, for any English bike, for all the Japanese stuff, Italian bikes as well. The trickiest part is working out exactly where the needle should go when you put it back. So usually what I do is once I've busted the gauge open, I'll set the needle at like 12 o'clock, and then under the face there's like this big cup magnet, and you can just do a line with a Sharpie, and you know that when the needle is at 12 o'clock, that's where the line on the cup and magnet need to be. It's when you just push the needle back in. But they're only ever held on with little screws.
Breaking into gauges is one of those things where there's no going back. Like
once you break in, you break in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always hard because certainly on a motorcycle, they have like crimped stainless steel, bands that hold everything together. It's bloody pain.
Which is easier. When I did my CB750, it just had a band crimped over it. And all you had to do was cut across that band to split it open. It pops open, and that's what holds the front onto the back. And then when you put it back together, a little bit of JB Weld and a hose clamp, put it back. On the car, though, it was a sealed unit that was
plastic pressed welded thing.
No, pressed metal onto metal, curved over it. So I literally had to Dremel the entire band lengthwise, and then glue the two halves. But it is something that it's part of like motorcycle restoration, and it's cool. That's a skill that I had.
Well, did you back up the odometer while you were in there?
Oh yeah, it's got
but I reset the counter to 0.
Oh, there you go.
I'm like, what's this button do?
Does it have a button for that? Yeah. Well, I will say the gauges came out great. They look good.
They look good.
On the older bikes, is it like a sticker kit? It can't
same
similar
thing.
Or what?
Yeah,
Is it?
Sticker kit.
Funnily enough, on the Japanese bikes, it's like a sticker that you put over the top, whereas on the English bikes, you just buy new faces, and it's like brass with the gauge face actually kind of printed on it.
It's a piece of screen printed metal,
yeah. I've got an absolutely...
Sounds much nicer.
You know what I realized, though? This is something that with all the new modern motorcycles is going away with all these digital...
Yeah.
It's like these are just on the vintage bikes.
Can you download a new background for your TFT dash?
Ooh, I don't know.
You can get one of those vinyl overlays. They have it when you buy it. It shows like, oh, look,
I guess so.
Here's where the revs are.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I want to say thank you guys for covering last week while I was gone playing in New York City.
Yeah, and it was, the people from Nova Garage are just a lovely bunch of people. And anybody who monkeys around with old bikes is okay with me, because that's pretty much what I do. And they just, you could tell by the way they approach the business and the characters of the boys and girls themselves, they really have a passion for this, because there's no real millionaires in motorcycle industry. There might have been 50 years ago, but if you want to be involved with working on bikes and actually making a living doing it, it's going to be damned hard work for not a great deal of return money-wise. So you have to have it in your heart. If you're just doing it for the money, you'll last about a month, and then you'll say, oh, screw this, I'm going to go and work at McDonald's. It's easier. And being in New York, I'm always like looking out for like bikes. And I've commented on this before when I've been there. And I did see those electric motorcycles and scooters that don't have plates that are zipping around in the bike lanes, but they're doing like 50. So anytime you cross the street, you got to watch out, because they come zoom, zoom, zipping down. And I didn't see that many like regular motorcycles, but one thing I did notice, we've briefly talked about before, and when they said that the motorcycles were fighting because they were being charged the same tolls as the cars, right,
for going like into the city. which they shouldn't be because don't have the same impact. And I realized it's no joke.
Congestion charge,
when
right?
when I was going, coming from New Jersey, and like just one of the tolls was like $14.
Oh yeah.
What's the Golden Gate now?
Oh,
I went over yesterday. It was I think $8.
$8. Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's no joke. It is no joke. It is
there's
not
the congestion.
easy.
I mean, I was just in Manhattan, like Manhattan and all that. It's like it's pretty nuts, but that's where like motorbikes and scooters. Why not make it? Why not encourage it?
They'd shine, but the city of New York has taken a stand against motorcycling in general, and that's what we have to deal with.
It's sad to not see that many bikes in Manhattan.
But every other type of transportation, like wackadoo electric scooters and like all the delivery guys.
Oh, it's Wild West.
Yeah, it's the Wild West.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anywho.
And I wanted to say happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I know Jim did. He's with Jake 1.0.
Yeah. I had a delightful Thanksgiving. I went to the Bayonet Black Horse Golf and Country Club.
Was it a buffet?
Thanksgiving buffet.
Oh, I bet that was crippling.
No, it's gone up since last year, because last year it was $55. Now it's $71.
That's like the Vets Hall price.
However, once again, I maintained the Emma tradition, and I was carried out by two stout waiters.
Pallbearers.
Yeah, pallbearers in a coma. And
trying to set a record for prime rib.
Yes, exactly. Prime rib and gin and tonics,
brilliant,
which were also included, which I was quite happy about. So, I had a very good Thanksgiving, and I slept it off for a day and a half.
Fabulous.
I went to a buffet that had a seafood bar.
A buffet.
I was happy. I was very happy.
I've seen you cut up rough with a lobster.
We've got a few minutes before our guest comes in. So I wanted to bring up a couple things, mentions first. I want to acknowledge the passing of two motorcycling legends.
What giants? I mean, yeah.
Malcolm Smith and Mary McGee. Mm-hmm. Both of whom I had been trying to get on this show at different points. And actually, Mary McGee, I had actually had her booked one time, and then she wasn't feeling good that day and canceled. And if people don't know, her documentary came out like the day after she died or the day before she died. I think the day after she died. ESPN did a documentary about her, and it's on YouTube called Motorcycle Mary. In fact, next week I would like to dedicate our show to talk about both of these. Yeah, legends. And I
think both Mary and Malcolm were such pivotal characters in the development of motorcycling, particularly here in America. I think it certainly warrants a complete show talking about the pair of them.
I took a picture of you with Malcolm. Remember at the Quail?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a picture of you with him.
Such a legend.
And I got a picture of Emma kissing Sonny Barger.
Oh my God, I got that picture as well. he was wheezing
Not
through.
Not at the Quail, though.
No, that wasn't at the Quail, but he was wheezing through his track after that.
I just want to share, I hope everyone go to YouTube and check out Motorcycle Mary. One of the interesting things that they talked about it, and we'll go more into it next year, but she was the first person to complete the Baja 500 on a motorcycle solo, not as a team.
Wow.
But here's the interesting thing. Not first woman, first person.
Wow. Yeah.
Nobody had done it before. So they had an award for the Ironman mm-hmm. for the car category for completing it alone. They didn't have one for the motorcycle category. And all these people argued for her, like, well, why isn't she getting an award? They didn't have one because nobody had ever done it. So she didn't get acknowledged, but the guy in the car did, which is just another example of that she met a lot of unfairness in her career as a driver, a racer, cars and motorcycles, that people not accepting her because she was a woman.
Yeah.
And that was just an example. We're not going to acknowledge it.
They were just unprepared for her being awesome.
Right. Yeah, so really cool. So check out Motorcycle Mary. The other thing I wanted to talk about, because we have split opinions on this and time will tell. But are you guys following the news about KTM?
Very divisive.
So what do you think? What do you think the future holds?
They're toast. There's no money. Follow the money, Liza. Where is the money coming from?
Are they throwing a lot of money or earning a lot of money from
No.
MotoGP?
No.
Because they've been successful there, haven't
Yeah,
they?
it doesn't. MotoGP costs a fortune to run. You're upside down. If you're competing in MotoGP, you're upside down money-wise. But it can translate to sales. But sales have been crap as well. And there's no money. Nobody's stepping up. Because KTM needs a massive injection of money. And there's just no money. It breaks my heart. I mean, I'm not anti-KTM. I love KTMs. I love working on KTMs. I mean, they're quirky. But what European bike isn't?
I disagree.
And there's a reason why they're called Keep Throwing Money, right?
Oh, gosh.
Okay, everyone simmer down.
Sorry.
So the company that owns KTM, is it Pure?
Yeah.
Pure Mobility Group.
Who?
They also own Husqvarna.
Right.
Gas.
Yeah.
I'm sure others.
Does that tell you something?
So KTM has been a profitable company until this year.
Well, what happened? In like
KTM?
a sentence or two.
KTM or Pure?
I think what happened to a lot of companies in that their production stopped during COVID and then it ramped up
Up a lot.
and then the demand died down. And so everyone was left with surplus. So they're not over because what they're doing is restructuring to avoid bankruptcy.
Says you.
No, because if they were going bankrupt, it'd be like Energica. It's like, burp, doors are closed. Go home.
It sounds a lot like the parent company that owns them now is one of those, I don't know if I might be talking out of my rear end, but like a venture capitalist style where they just acquire brands for the sake of having the brand recognition and then milk them dry and then drop them.
Oh, yeah, and that's the whole thing, Matt. And that's the missing link that people aren't saying. And I would look. I want to be clear, I would love to be proved wrong on this, but when you've got venture capitalists who run the parent company, where's the money?
Well, let me ask you this.
If they pull the plug, the money's gone.
The money's in gutting it.
Who owns Indian motorcycles?
Who?
Who owns Indian motorcycles?
Who?
Polaris.
Polaris.
Who owned Victory?
Polaris.
Right. They just axed a brand to save the other.
So what's the difference?
So why
now?
wouldn't this group axe Husqvarna or Gas to save KTM, the bigger, more successful name?
And they may be able to just sell one of the brands.
Right. That's why I think they are actually restructuring. Otherwise, they would have canceled or sold off some of those others.
Are they interested in motorcycles or are they interested in money?
They're interested in money.
Every businessman is interested in money. So, and some of the news going around is saying they have halted production.
It's just like Red Lobster.
But it's,
Exactly.
well, yeah.
Elaborate.
No, I know.
All you can eat shrimp. Fuck them.
No, Liza has been single-handedly trying to bankrupt Red Lobster for the last 20 years.
So, when I heard that they laid off like around 300 people and stopped production, and some people were like, oh, they're going under. But then someone else told me a lot of companies stop production when they've got too much stock.
Yeah.
They just...
I've got too much stuff. I need to stop making more.
Too much stuff. They stop.
Yeah.
In fact, later we're going to be talking about the Honda Reflex motorcycle that came out what years?
86, 87.
Do you think the 87 is different from the 86?
Absolutely not.
It was the leftover 86s.
Right.
They put 87 on. They stopped production and sold the same bikes the next year.
Right.
So stopping production, what I'm saying...
wait a minute. You've got to compare apples with apples here.
No, I'm just saying...
You're talking about one model in a giant lineup. What we're talking about is an entire
that
company.
you might buy a bike that's labeled as a year was built the year before. That's what I'm saying.
Right. But you're talking about an entire company.
Also saying is I think that this is great to hear that they are being vocal and public about what they are doing to save the company. Because quite honestly, with the state of things in the world in the near future, I'm very concerned about.
I've heard nothing good.
A lot of different companies being able to survive, especially here in America.
I've heard nothing about restructuring. I've heard nothing about trying to save the company. I have heard no good news coming out of KTM. Anything good is speculative. There's people think they're restructuring. People think they're doing that. Unless there's hard evidence, you've got to follow the news.
I can tell you some good news. Scottie and I have dirt bikes. The parent company is Honda.
Oh, can't go wrong.
And tell us about this.
What is the title of the article?
And they're both still in production.
What is the
They're
title?
both still in production.
What is the title of the article
of
in
Honda.
Cycle World? What is the title of the article?
Well, no, hang on. This is by Blake Connor.
Well, you said you've not heard. I'm saying, what is the headline?
Who is this? From the press release, KTM.
What is the headline?
No, just wait a minute.
You're going to get hit with a shoe, damn it.
You've got to follow the money on this, Liza.
Yeah, but
They are actually in judicial restructuring progress.
Right.
They're in
What is the
fucking
headline?
receivership.
what is the headline?
Okay, this is classic Liza. Who is Blake Connor?
It's Cycle World.
No, it's Blake Connor.
It's Cycle World website.
Sounds like an
It's
AI name.
Blake Connor.
Writing for Cycle World. What is all right.
That is an opinion.
Hey Matt, what's the headline say?
The headline is KTM restructuring to avoid bankruptcy.
There you go.
The
But
subline is
that's
Pure Mobility files for judicial restructuring proceedings.
Oh,
yeah, that ain't
Yeah.
good, Liza.
That's how you save the company.
I was in a company. I worked for a company that did
That
something
sounds- yeah.
similar, and they just kind of stopped paying me, and then I just left because I wasn't getting paid.
And
So
I mean,
other-
I say, I want to be clear. I want to 100% be wrong, because there's a huge spot for KTM and there's a place for KTM in my heart. And I mean, you know, I love everything, all motorcycles. There's very few brands that I do not like. And KTM is just this punchy little brand, but everything I've read about it, it ain't good. And it's the classic case. It's venture capitalists take over the company with no real interest in motorcycles. It's the bottom line. And as soon as, you know, they start losing money, they just drop them. They just drop bait. And the fact of the matter is, you need to restart them. It's like KTM's going to need a big battery to restart.
Well,
and there's no
they'll get it.
money.
But they've
they'll
been
get
profitable the past years, unlike Energica, though I don't know ever was profitable, right?
I will say there are a shitload of KTMs out there. When you get into the dirt biking, it's like KTM Husqvarna crazy.
You're
right?
absolutely right. And that's
tons of
what
them.
gives me hope for this is that no matter what happens with Pure Mobility Group, I kind of don't care about Pure Mobility Group. I really want to see KTM and Husqvarna.
And Husqvarna, yeah. And they do
live
sell.
Do you care about gas?
Not really.
We're all like,
I don't really care about like MV Agusta too. It's one of their other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But so my point is though that they have so much brand equity and there's so much power in the brand that they'll find somebody to buy it. They'll find a way to restructure it.
I mean,
things will
I don't
continue
think they wanna
existing.
maybe if
sell
they
it.
just make like three models. Just make
they
3
might
KTM
choose to do
models.
that. That's fine.
The argument against KTM has always been the same. When they got lousy fueling, and everybody knows that you buy a KTM, either the injection mapping or the carburation is going to be shit. But that the second thing, which is far more destructive, they do so many models, and each model requires its own individual steps on a production line, and it's not that they're fundamentally different. They just do detail changes. And instead of doing it like as a dealer option or something, it's a completely different model. So from a manufacturing perspective, you know, a great analogy was back in the early days of Japanese motorcycles. They used to paint the headlight bucket and the headlight ears the same color as the tank. And as fantastic as that looked, it required so many extra steps on the production line. It became too expensive to make. So by doing the headlight bucket and the headlight ears in black, you can save millions, because now you've got production lines that are exactly the same for all colours of bikes, and then, the fuel tank and the tailpiece goes on, there's your different colours, rather than actually having a separate line. And there were a lot of different lines at KTM. And so, in effect, it was really, to a certain extent, a hand-built motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing I think that could happen is if they you get some kind of worker co-op, and you actually get the management of the company and the workers buy a stake in it and raise some money that way.
Well, I still haven't owned a 350 EXC, so I kind of want to try one of those.
Would you want an
before,
EXCE or an EXCF or an EXCC?
F plated, yeah.
F,
yeah, the F. Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
love my Honda 450.
I like that they're being public about what they're doing.
But
I'm hoping they survive.
I've
Fingers
never
crossed
wanted to be
KTM.
proven wrong so much, but I'm very pessimistic about KTM. I really am.
Wow.
And I really want to be proved wrong, but it's just
And on that cheerful note,
it breaks my heart.
Time shall tell. We will see.
Yes.
I wanted to bring up something. This is something I've been thinking about a lot. You know, we all get into different riding styles, right? Matt, you've got your sport tour.
Yeah.
Jim, you've got dirt. You've got a sport bike. Emma, you got Harley. You got a sport bike. You got a little bit of everything, right? All these different styles.
Monkey bike.
monkey bike for sure.
But I was also thinking about, I think that I came up with 3 different styles of bikes that we've not yet really talked about. One of them is drag racing. One of them is ice racing.
Oh,
And powered unicycles.
And we've actually talked about that before.
I'm sorry.
And one of them is trials. These are 3 different types. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's others we haven't talked about. But I'm like, these have been on my list to talk about.
Okay.
And the thing I find interesting about trials, Jim, we were watching it at Vintage Days.
As soon as you said trials, I thought about AMA Vintage Days trial riding in the woods.
That was so much fun
Oh my
to
gosh.
watch.
Yeah. I'm bringing a lawn chair next time.
I've not really ever known that much about it. But here's the question I had is the trials riding seems like it's of all motorsports, it has the lowest barrier to entry in that it's cheap.
Mhm.
Bikes aren't expensive. It's not that risky. Not like going on. Not
looks
hold
risky,
on.
but it probably
Not
isn't.
like going on a track.
If you
or
learn
something,
the right way, right? It's
Right?
probably not too risky.
And from what we saw out in the woods, 70-year-olds and 7-year-olds
You could do it
all
for
doing
a
the same
while.
trail, right? Men, women, everything. And I've always thought, why aren't more people doing this?
Well, and can I add one other
Yeah.
benefit real quick? And I noticed with Scottie here, people that have ridden bicycles especially, they have the ability to control their weight. And so much of dirt biking is where you put your weight and how you use the clutch. And after riding dirt biking, I'm like, everyone should start with trials riding because there seems to be huge benefit with learning how to throw your weight around early on. Why are you looking at me all lustfully talking about throwing weight around?
No, I like the idea of being
But I
able
think
to
that's-
control your weight. I love the idea because I can't even control my bowels.
Right.
And if you remember, we've had some very esteemed guests on our show,
Yes.
like Cody Webb,
Yes.
Yep.
and, super enduro rider who attributed a lot of his skill to his trials riding.
Well, it's enormously technical.
And also Debbie Evans, who's
Yes.
one of my favorite interviews of all time, the stunt rider
Mm-hmm.
who did the Trinity and the Matrix, that whole thing,
Yeah.
who started out as a trials rider. So it seems like the skills you get in trials transfers to dirt riding, street riding, just control in general. And I've always wondered, why aren't more people doing this? It seems like a no-brainer. Like this could be really fun.
It was a lot more mainstream in England. Would you believe trials actually had a spot on primetime TV in the 1980s?
Did
I
they wear
believe
a
it.
tweed jacket?
No, I mean, it was young guys riding trials bikes. And, it was a half-hour show. They showed it during prime time, and it really seemed it was gaining traction.
Wasn't observed mountain bike trials in the Olympics ones also?
I don't know.
I've definitely seen like Sunday morning off-color sports show with trials bikes, either inside
Wide
or
World of
outside.
Sports.
Yeah,
So This is something I've been thinking about. I had it in my mind. I'd like to get someone to come on and talk about it. So I got somebody to come on and talk about it.
What?
What?
Yeah. So we have, I'm trying to get, it's Bryce. Is it Pophal?
Yes.
There you
Bryce
go.
Pophal. Hey, Bryce.
Hello, Bryce.
So-
Hey, Bryce.
Bryce was recommended to a friend of the show, Mike, who
Oh, yeah.
said, "Oh yeah, I know who you need to talk. You want to learn about trials? I know the guy." So, Bryce, can you tell everyone a little more about who you are, what you do, and why you're the guy?
Well, I would say I'm the guy just because Mike said so. No, I've been riding trials for a while now. I'll just give you a little background about me. So I live in Northern California, born and raised in Northeast Pennsylvania, moved out here like 13 years ago. I've been an advocate for trials for the past probably 15 years. And, before that, I just was really intrigued with it. I loved it as a kid. Growing up, I watched the Jeff Aaron balancing act videos, and my dad told me about it. He actually was really good friends with Ryan Young's dad, Jerry. And Jerry is notably the first U.S. trials champion ever. That was in like 1970 or 71. I don't remember exactly. He wrote a little book, and he kind of got things kicked off, did some world rounds here. And there's a lot of other guys, obviously, that were doing the same stuff here on the West Coast. But my dad was just into it. He told me about it. I grew up looking at this Yamaha 1974 Yamaha TY in the basement. My brother sit on it, make engine noises, pretend we were riding motorcycles, and never really got to ride trials. They gave that bike to me. My dad and mom gave it to me when I was 15 or 16. And it was just my dirt bike. I didn't really know anything other than I watched some videos. I had no training. My dad didn't show me really anything other than I saw him ride the bike. One time he rode over a log, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so all my friends, they knew I had trials bikes. So we'd be out riding. They'd all be on, XR 100 or Yamaha 100. And I'm on a 250cc trials bike, in which, if you've seen those bikes, trials bikes they're smaller in size with the way they're set up. So it's easier for a smaller person, as a 6-year-old, not that I was a kid. But
can you describe what a trials bike looks like as opposed to like a standard?
It looks like a bike that's been tacoed.
Idea of a motorcycle?
Yeah. So current trials bikes, a modern bike, there is no seat. You can sit kind of down in it. And if people have seen them on YouTube, you always see the video because of guys like Tony Bow and Adam Raga, these top names, Jaime Busto. These guys are jumping around their back tire doing unbelievable stunts, which, that is trials, but it's not trials as most people know it. Most people experience it. They experience a lot different. But trials bike is very light. There's no seat. The controls are very minimal. There's no display on the front of it like your modern enduro bikes or anything like that. No lights. And if they are, they're just maybe like a little LED indicator on the front of the bike. Now they're just everything they can do to shave weight to get the bikes typically around anywhere from 140 to 155 pounds.
And what kind of
My
CCs?
goodness.
What kind of CCs are we talking?
That bike would be typically 250, 300.
Okay.
There is 25s. There's a few manufacturers that will put out a 200 on occasions. And there's 80 there's manufacturers like Beta. They make a 80cc bike for an entry level rider kid, and it's a full size frame, full size wheels, but it's it's just a smaller engine. But those bikes are completely capable of doing all kinds of stuff, even a little 80cc.
Now, are the controls the same? Brake, clutch, shifter, are they all the same?
Throttle.
In general, everything is, until we get into like the electric side of it. But if you're just talking internal combustion bike, everything's the same. Typically a 6-speed transmission, some 5-speed transmissions. Disc brakes, all your controls are, but everything's minimal. Hydraulic clutch, hydraulic brake, no cables anymore. Thankfully, that's something that so glad is gone because cables are horrible in comparison to what we have today. No electric start, except for one manufacturer does offer an electric start, but just stripped down.
Yeah.
Very basic. Throttle is very basic. Very lightweight. Everything they have is just super lightweight. It's almost like bicycle componentry adapted to a motorcycle, just to reduce as much weight as possible.
So in the intro where I said this has got the lowest barrier to entry motorsport, do you agree with that?
I think if for the general public, if somebody wanted to get into trials, if you grew up riding, dirt bikes, street bikes, and you weren't trying to go in full bore and you didn't want to buy the most expensive machine, you could pick up a bike, I think, reasonably for the, couple $3,000, which is pretty inexpensive compared to the racing world, because you could take that $3,000 motorcycle and you could go out and compete the next day and be competitive. You don't have to have special componentry. You don't have to have upgraded exhaust and all these trick parts. Most of the bikes come from the factory.
Well, you say be competitive, but there's a lot more to it than just the bike.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the bike wouldn't be your limiter, let's say,
For example, there's more to just the bike, because what if I had a 1976 Fraser Honda TL250? Emma, what would you think if I showed up with that?
Well, I'd like it because it's vintage like me.
Well, it's cool because all the principles apply, because you see that in Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
You see the old bikes next to the new, like, crazy bikes, but it's all the same style of riding. I will say I like the vintage stuff a little bit more because it's just so much more chaotic and hectic.
It looks more like a motorcycle.
True.
Yeah.
Well, and I find it interesting because, like, if you go to, like, I just went to Honda Motorcycles, right? They have 2 models of trials bikes you can buy right now, brand new, current model years. This is like, the sport exists, but people don't really seem to know about it. Why is that, Bryce? Why isn't this more popular?
So this is all opinion, but I think most trials riders would agree with me that trials doesn't have the same pizzazz or thrill to it like other things do, like motocross or even racing. The thrill, the adrenaline is not the same, especially as a new rider, as a kid, teenage boy or girl, get out there and they ride. For example, if you're riding a dirt bike, you can say, I rode a wheelie or I jumped, and you're going fast. There's a lot of adrenaline. For a trials rider, it's like, well, I rode over a log or I flew around a turn and put my feet on the ground. It's not really a cool story to tell your schoolmate, your friends at school.
I did something super awkward without falling over.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Bryce, this is Emma. I grew up in England, and as you're well aware, I'm sure trials is a little more mainstream in England. But I always saw it as a far more cerebral form of motorcycle racing. And I agree with you. It's done at slower speeds. It's kind of the thinking man or woman's motorcycle sport. It requires a very, very high degree of skill. Mm-hmm. But it is exciting to watch. But yes, in comparison to a flat-out motocross, or as we used to call scrambles, you can see it doesn't hold the same, does it?
Well, it's almost like it doesn't work for television, because we've been in Johnson Valley, California. I don't know if you've ever ridden down there, but south of Barstow. But down in the desert where we camp, there's a lot of people that go out to the desert trials ride because of all the rocks. And in person, it's utterly fascinating, especially in a kind of uncontrolled environment. But to see people do this stuff, hop up on the rocks, and we've seen actual events where they kind of put the stakes out and they say, you have to kind of go up this rock and over that rock. In person, it's just wild.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's
fun
just
to watch.
But on television, I could see it doesn't quite translate, maybe.
I think there's something about the way the television flattens things. Like when you see, like, even a steep hill on television, it doesn't look as steep as it really is.
Totally,
and that's
right?
So much of the drama in person is about, like, how genuinely sketchy things look.
Yeah, it's because in person, it's sketchy when they do that.
At almost every event I've been to, Vintage Days, Americade, Hollister Rally, all these, what do they all have? They've got the stunt riding, which is trials riders doing jumps over stuff and
jumping up and landing on something.
Landing. Yeah. And it's like, so you see them out there doing stuff. And I think that, that this would be such a good skill to have. Bryce, how does trials riding, how does it translate to dirt and street riding?
Well, just to hit on what you were just asking about, just so we don't miss over it. And you were asking about if it being, why isn't it as popular?
Yeah.
I think another big thing to recognize is that most riders of, most dirt bike riders, enduro street, typically when they get on a motorcycle, especially after years of riding another bike, it's very humbling. I've seen it firsthand so many times. And a lot of guys just say, this isn't for me. They don't want to learn. They don't want to start over again. They don't want to learn how to motorcycle again. But then there are those that was the joy of it for them. So at, the age of, whatever, whether it's 30, if you started as a young kid, or, I know guys that start riding trials at the age of 60, and you get to start over again and learn so many things, and you get to enjoy that, that thrill of, overcoming a difficulty, whether it's turning or hopping or riding over an obstacle. So I didn't want to let that out or miss out on that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
I think there's a big reason why a lot of people struggle to, you see it all the time. Guys they buy a brand new trials bike and they ride it 2 times and they say, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like it because it's so hard. So
hard. So now how does that translate the skills? How does it translate to street and dirt?
So I don't have a lot of experience on the street. All I have is, I picked up a DRZ 400 about 12 years ago, rode that on the street for probably 3 or 4 years, enjoyed it. And I've been on different street bikes, Harleys, fast sport bikes, things like that. And what I found was all of those bikes, and even dirt bikes, I've been on, some track bikes, I've ridden in the woods. Again, not really my forte. I don't spend a lot of time riding those. Trials really is my thing. I really love the sport of trials, and that's where I kind of spend most of my time. But I find that it crosses over so well because it's all about control. It's all about, controlling the bike, maneuvering, like you guys had said before I came on, shifting your body weight around and knowing how to, plant your body weight in the right direction so the bike doesn't just fall over on you. There's a lot of centrifugal force that goes to the bike when it's rolling, but when it's not, when you're moving slow, it's a lot different, and you got to be able to, shift your weight around and do a lot of different things to maneuver. And if you can apply those same techniques to a dirt bike, racing, road racing, any of those things, it really makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think in dirt too, it really translates.
Yep.
Yeah,
and you see it. I think all, if not most, if not all, the top dirt riders in hard enduro all have a trials background or have spent countless hours training on a trials bike.
Jim, do you remember when we talked to Cody Webb how he said it why he excelled enduro riding? Because he had said that he picks a different path. What looks like a harder path to other riders, he picks because he knows how to navigate it and get through it faster, which I find interesting.
Yeah, it's like balance and long legs when you talk about Cody. But I'm curious, a lot of it to it, I notice people that can do the real slow technical stuff on the rocks and all that, they have the balance, but it's also confidence. I'm curious because I want to take a class and I want to take a trials class. If I were to take a 3-day weekend, the other classes we've done, they build on, like one thing builds on the next to build your confidence. What would a 2 or 3 day training class look like if you started as a beginner and as you kind of built confidence? What would be the drills you did?
Oh, that's love good.
So I would say, if it's somebody who has some motorcycle experience, you understand how to control the clutch, you understand, so let's say we're looking at an entry-level rider that has some experience in the dirt or riding a road bike. The first thing you would learn is how to ride that bike as slow as you possibly can. And that means with the clutch. The clutch is a huge benefit. Riding older vintage bikes, we talked about that a little bit. Those bikes were designed to, let the clutch out, very heavy flywheels, kind of tractor along. The current model bikes are not that way. They're lighter flywheel. They don't have so much torque. So you really have to, that would be the first thing that we would focus on, after just obviously going over the basics of understanding how the machine worked. But if you got on a bike and you had some dirt experience, the first thing I would do with somebody is get them to slow down, learn how to control the clutch. Some of the things I do to do that is, after riding in, the first gear or second gear, I actually will put the bike in third or even fourth gear and make the rider follow me around at a very slow speed, so they can understand that they can work that clutch. You can have it in a higher gear and be able to, really go slow on the bike. And it just almost forces you to use the clutch. If you're in first, some guys will cheat it. They'll let the clutch out. They'll almost let it idle. They'll really, they'll back off a little bit and try to not let the gap close up. But if I put them up in that high gear, they really, they'll stall and then they start figuring it out. So, and then you can incorporate hills, obstacles, even, believe it or not, third or fourth gear, moving at, less than a walking pace. It really will do it. The bike do that, and that's how these guys can maneuver some of the obstacles they do. Other than that, body position, learning how to put your body weight on the outside of a turn. Action, it's a little different than like road riding. A lot of times you lean into the turn, so some of those things don't cross over real well, so you have to break some old bad habits. But putting your weight on the outside of the turn, always on the foot peg, with your body leaning away, keeping your shoulders very square to the bars. And then once we get through, clutch control and turning and, controlling other aspects, throttle, brake, a lot of times I'll determine that on how well the rider can do those things. Some dirt riders are very good at some of those things. Some of them have, very little experience. But the next thing we would work on is just wheelies, learning how to wheelie. And
we're learning a wheelie. Let's go.
Well, so many guys think they know how to wheelie, and they fast forward through trials so much. They move up from beginner to novice, and all of a sudden they're an intermediate, and their wheelie is broken. I always tell guys that, and they get mad, but they get discouraged when I say, "Hey, we got to learn how to wheelie." They say, "Well, I know how to wheelie." I said, "Well, you know how to wheelie, but not the right way."
When I'm wheelie, I'm broken.
Well, I can teach you how to do a really good wheelie, a really controlled wheelie, and I'll tell you what, it is probably one of the most overlooked techniques. Just even for enduro guys, you watch guys, they just don't put their body into it. They use a lot of muscle, and that none of that is needed. Once they realize they can do that without putting all the muscle into it, and they start putting their body into it properly, they can go over something and be so much more control when they do so.
So I wanted to talk for a second about like trials riding competitions, right? So again, I've only witnessed it at Vintage Days, and there in Ohio, it's through the woods. So the type of riding they're doing is down a little creek bank, up the other side, jump a log, have to make a tight turn through some trees. It's really navigating that terrain. But then I've also heard, like out here in California, it might be on desert, dry, rocky. So is the trials riding is all related to the local environment, right?
100%. I mean, I've ridden from the East Coast all the way out the West Coast, north to south.
In California, is it like District 36 and all that?
California. So, so real quick, on as far as the terrain goes, there's always different. There's desert, hard, grippy rocks. There's mud. There's logs. In England, the riders overseas, they come here and they're riding. Yeah, sheep. I went rode Scottish 6 days last year, and what they ride is unbelievably different compared to what we do here. And it really shows. We have these big, flashy, giant rocks that the riders, they jump off of, and it is amazing. And that's at the top level. But I grew up riding in the mud, in the greasy slop, and we're always challenging ourselves. Hey, can we get up through this, this rut, and over this log that has no bark on it? It's as greasy as you can ever imagine. So there's so many different techniques that you learn over time. And again, that goes to your environment. If you stay in your normal environment where you live, you may only learn that one technique, but as you travel around to different locations, you start picking up different stuff. The weather, sometimes California, it's pretty nice here, and, lots of dry, grippy stuff. And then in the winter, a lot of guys, they want to get their bike out because they don't want to get it muddy. And then as far as like districts goes, so some trials is kind of weird. It's, I wish it fell more like, motocross or other disciplines. AMA is involved. There is a trials committee through AMA. There's also a group called ARMA, which is the historical racing. Also have a branch with trials.
Were you at Arma Laguna Seca last year?
This past year I was not.
This summer.
The year before I was at the Laguna Seca event. Yeah.
I was excited when they heard they added trials, but then they made it at like 5:00 on on Sunday or something. It was it was really weird. So I was hoping that they would move it during the main event.
Trials is small, so it really takes a lot of effort, a lot of volunteers. There's absolutely no money. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're the best rider in the country or the worst one, you get the same paycheck. And it's just, it's one of those things where it's more, I don't want to say it's more family oriented than other disciplines, but it's definitely more group oriented. Everybody knows everybody. And if you don't, it's really difficult to put things together and make them happen. For your example with the, the vintage event with the Arma Laguna, there's an army of people that have to come in to do that. And a lot of them don't even know how to ride trials, or they don't have a trials bike. And, but they all, they make it happen because they may only have 15 or 20 riders. The modern side of it is definitely bigger, and AMA does a good thing with what they do for us. And there is sanctioned clubs that are sanctioned through the AMA, but there is clubs that, they prefer not to sanction through the AMA. And then they kind of have their own thing. So it's not everybody's connected. So it is, there's some states that have, sanctioned events. California actually does not sanction. As far as I know, that there's 3 main clubs. There's Sacramento Pits, there's SMC, and then there's the Southern, I think it's just SoCal Trials. And all 3 of those clubs, none of them actually sanction with the AMA, as district events. They'll kind of do their own standalone thing. So,
but it is also like a family thing. We saw whole families out there doing it. And again, for those who aren't familiar, when you do like a competition, how is it being scored? Because what I saw is like, you can't put your foot down. Don't put your foot down.
Yeah, 1 foot, 2 foot, or whatever. Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
So typically with trials, in the States, it's and overseas, it's pretty much the same. There's a couple rules that are different, from there to here, or depending on if it's like trial GP. So when you ride in the section, typically it's red on your right, blue on your left, or some type of a gate system. Different clubs use different types, but typically you have, red and blue. That was kind of always the standard. And once your front axle crosses the gate, and it's one rider at a time, you come into the section and you're riding a line that's designated for you, for the class that you signed up for, which would be, beginner all the way up to professional level.
So if I sign up for the beginner class, I'm not racing against the experts, or I have a different route.
Correct. Yep. Okay. So the route will be different. Sometimes it'll be similar.
The big log. Yeah.
And so you'll walk the section when you get there. Typically there's 8 to 10 sections for that, one event. Let's say it's a Saturday. You'll sign up for your club. The event will start, say, 10 a.m. You go out on the loop. We call it the loop. So the loop is a 1 to 10 mile course, and along that loop is let's say 10 sections. So you'll go to section 1 as the rider, park your bike, get off your bike, and kind of inspect it. So if somebody's familiar with rock crawling, you're looking for your route. You take the time, you plan it. You kind of come up with some ideas how you maneuver through a certain area. You're not allowed to really, manipulate the course. If you get caught moving things around, you get in trouble. So you can't, unless it's, it's a hazard, a branch that might poke in the eye or something. But, if there's a boulder that's just loose and wobbly on the ground, you're not allowed to move it. You just have to deal with it like everybody else does. So the idea is then you determine what you want to do and how you're going to ride it. And then you would go back to your bike, get in line, and when it's your turn, you'll be invited into the section by the observer. So there's usually 1, maybe 2 observers at the section. They're your scorekeepers, and they will call out rider. You'll enter the section, and as you ride the section, they're there to watch. So if you put a foot down, that's a dab. That's what we were talking about. And if you do that 3 times, you can do it. Every time you do it. So even if you put your feet on the ground and you're walking your bike through the section, it's still just a 3. That's the maximum amount of dabs that you can earn for individual dabs. So you can literally walk your bike through the section with your feet on, 1 foot on the
That's
bike.
when you're like, forget this stuff. I'm here to have a good time. I'm walking through.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people, they get into trouble. Sometimes, you might have too little dabs. So the observer's there to count those, and they'll hold up their hand. They start you out as a rider with a clean hand held up in the air, and then as you go through, they count out your score. So there is no 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then once you're on a 3, or even if you're riding along and you have a clean, let's say you stall your engine and you're not continuing in forward motion with your feet off the ground, if you go out of bounds, if you fall off of your bike, if you dismount your bike. So let's say you put both of your feet on the left-hand side of your bike or behind your axle, that would constitute a 5. So the observer would call it out, you got a 5. And then at that point, it's kind of like a disqualification for the section. You get at the end of the section, you get your scorecard punched, depending on whatever your score was. Obviously, the idea is to have a clean ride. And then you move on to the next, and you just repeat that process through the 10 sections. And then you go back to this, the pit area, you hand in your loop card, and you start again. Typically there's 3 loops, and you get 3 shots at every section.
You want a clean card and clean shorts.
I'm sorry. You said if your bike stalls and you stop forward progress, is it even possible to restart your bike without putting your feet down?
100%. There's guys.
Because it's all kickstart, and you're blowing my mind.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Challenge accepted.
Yes.
Balance.
So they're balancing. They're taking their foot, they're flicking their kickstart out, while they're balancing, get their bike restarted, and get on their way.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And that it's a strange rule, but if you are riding a section and your bike stalls or you go out of, your engine dies, if you were to be able to remove the bike from the section under your own power with your feet, as long as you don't stop, you can actually earn a 3. So let's say you're going downhill, the bike stalls or something, and you work your way out through the section, paddling your way, which is a light bike. It's only 140 pounds.
Yeah.
You actually would get a 3 for that. It's an odd thing that happens, and it's rare, but it does happen. So
sounds fun to watch.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So if somebody was interested, do you recommend that, are there classes? How does somebody try out trials?
So it depends on where you live. I know that there is some places in Tennessee, there's what they call the Trials Training Center, and you can go into the Trials Training Center, book a lesson. You can definitely get set up. That is one of the commercial locations. I think Moto Ventures in Southern California also has a program, and I think they actually have rental bikes.
They do, yeah, for an extra $100 so you can ride their bike.
Yep. So there's definitely, there's a few options, and there may be more. I think those are the only 2 I really know of in the States. For some reason, I think there's a place in Hawaii that does the same thing.
Oh.
But if you get on, the thing to do with trials is to get plugged in with a local club. If you have interest in trials, search, go on internet, search for, motorcycle trials, and then, put your state in. If you're in California, put in, Northern California. Typically you will find some type of a link to a club, and they usually have, contact information. You can send them an email. And I will say that all the clubs across the country they're going to be open. They're going to say, hey, yeah, for sure. Let me get this person's information. They'll tell you where the events are going to be. Typically there's a calendar online, but if you just can't find any information, just reaching out to somebody that way is one of the best ways. And there's, bikes to borrow. You just make friends. I mean, trials riders love I would say 99% of trials riders have a different motorcycle, besides a trials bike in their garage.
Okay, so I have a question. In that vein, I see stuff online, this trials riding, I think it's in Europe, and it's indoor, and it's lit up, and they jump from these giant concrete blocks to these other stacked up giant concrete blocks.
Like in a stadium.
Yeah,
I've seen
this.
And
it's very very curated almost, and very clean. It's really hard. It looks pretty nuts.
But I think it's teams of 2 people, there's a spotter and a rider.
Oh, I could see that, yeah, because it looks pretty dangerous. But I don't know if you're familiar with this. Have you seen this? Yeah. So as a crusty Northern California trials rider slopping through the mud, what are your thoughts on that stuff in Europe where it's really clean stadium-like
Yeah,
entertainment?
can you do that? Can you do it?
So typically what we all see on Instagram and YouTube and what you're talking about is like X Trial or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
They are, you're looking at the top 10 riders in the world. They really are. And so I think it's amazing. I think stadium type riding is so much fun. It's having a controlled environment, lots of traction. Your obstacles are, typically they're pretty solid. It's a lot of fun and it's really showy. This, we were talking about, for television, and that's what that was designed for, really, to get it commercialized, have a way to, gather people up, film it, make it look cool. I think they put a lot of effort into making that happen.
So I got a picture of our friend Mike, our mutual friend Mike, who sent me a picture of him riding. And
looks like the Sears.
the thing that I like about this, it looks like he's in his front yard. Like, I'm not sure where this is, but I love that you can just rope off a section of your yard and practice
And mess
skills.
about, yeah.
Like, you don't need to have really a park or a desert or mountain to go to.
Yeah.
You
And
can do this anywhere.
And I tell you, one of the things that really attracts me to it is, because time's valuable, but we love to ride dirt bikes, and all the really good dirt bike people I see, really seem to be able to be really good trials riders. I don't know if they some people did start trials riding, but it seems like a great way to either begin riding dirt or enhance your dirt riding skills at any time.
It seems like a really fun thing to learn just
Yeah.
on its own.
And you're not going 40 miles an hour,
Yeah.
you fall over. But yeah.
Quick question. Are there common injuries that are different for riding trials than it would be for riding other kinds of dirt bikey stuff?
Typically it's ego or
Ego. Yeah. Okay. Death of ego. Yeah.
I would say, trials is a relatively safe sport. I have, my worst injury was a pylon fracture in my right ankle, and I don't know anybody personally that has the same type of injury that or even is that extreme. It was just a fluke thing for me. So it's pretty rare for major injuries. You see silly stuff. People, they break a finger, because you're squeezing through a tight space. There's not a lot of high speed accidents. So, the typical injuries you see with, racing or even, just fun riding, in the dirt, it's not common to see guys with broken collarbones or, compound fractures of their ankles and wrists and things like that, unless you're, doing something you obviously shouldn't have been doing on your trials bike. But no, injuries are, minimal. And again, you guys had mentioned about, people being older doing it. There is guys that are, 70, even in their 80s, that are out here and still really enjoying riding. They really like it. They can get out there and they can still do the thing that they love. They can be on two wheels and not have to heft around a 200-pound motorcycle or 250-pound motorcycle or whatever they were riding before. So
I like you go from riding slow in third gear to the wheelie. I'm really liking that learning curve.
Well, Emma, have you ever tried trials?
No, it's something I always wanted to, and I just never did. I'm a street gal. I never did that much on dirt, and I kind of regret it now. But at 63 years old, I think it might be an ideal time to start.
you definitely can, 100%.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you something you said earlier is that a lot of bikes don't have that much torque. I for some reason, I thought that these were like small displacement, two-stroke engines that could give you a bam, like a sudden burst of power.
Yeah, that's
so.
I was
but
thinking the same thing.
You were saying that it's more lower, like lesser torque. How are these engines different from like the bikes we're riding?
So in comparison to, let's say a CR 125 to a 125 Honda or a 250.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
So, on average, the trials bike definitely has a lot more low end torque. It's geared much slower. Top speed in first gear is 10 miles an hour. and you're not shifting through the gears very quickly. And when I made that comment, it's the vintage bikes. When you go back even for 70s and 80s, the heavy flywheel was a really good way to have that rolling torque.
Oh, right.
Once the motor was kind of rolled up, I have a 175 Yamaha, and I think the flywheel is like 7 pounds or 6 pounds, which is a very heavy flywheel. It takes a long time to get it sped up, but once it's going, it really just keeps moving real well.
That's how you guys do that.
Well, if you watch
secrets,
if you watch the riders that, what you're seeing on TV, and you see these impressive moves where these guys go from, sitting on even the indoor, if they're sitting on the flat ground and they fly up against a rock or a block or something like that.
Right.
What they're doing is, they're building up all this momentum, and they do have a heavier flywheel even than a, typical dirt bike. And when they let that clutch go, there's so much inertia and so much power stored that they're able to just throw it at whatever obstacle that, is coming at them.
So while we're on this subject of the power characteristics of the engine, how are electric bikes doing within the trials field?
Yeah, I was actually going to bring this up because just in our world of motorcycles, there's a lot of controversy and people reluctant to go to electric. But is it the same kind of battle in trials, or is it a easy transition?
So I think there's going to be, I actually just having this conversation with Martin Belair, who's very involved with Honda and Montesa. And, a lot of the manufacturers are, they're pushing for electric bikes. It's the new thing. Everybody's going to be there. And I would say 3 to 5 years. And I don't know if anybody will sell an internal combustion trials bike overseas. Maybe not. I don't know. It just seems like it's, the big manufacturers are all going there. Yamaha, Honda, KTM, which is now gas for the trial side of it. Everybody has an electric bike, and that electric bike, they're different to ride for sure. I've been on a few different ones, and I think the kids that are growing up riding those electric bikes from a young age, they do great with them. As far as inertia goes and flywheel,
right.
That electric motor has more power than any gas motor ever produced.
Yeah.
It can spin up a heavy flywheel very quickly. The torque is 10 times that.
Oh, so it has gearing still.
Some do, some don't. There's manufacturers that have played around with, they have different modes. So it'll, the torque curve's a little different. I work on electric forklifts, so I only understand a little bit, but I understand, the idea behind it. And, that type of bike is very difficult for somebody that, has been riding with a clutch and using an engine that has, a certain torque curve, and they can, they know how to manipulate the bike with the clutch, where without everything is a lot different. You're just counting on your right hand instead of your right and your left hand. So it's a big change, but there is manufacturers now that are going away from that or starting their own, have their own product. I know Gas has a 5-speed transmission with electric bike, with a full clutch. And I think those bikes will be a much easier bike to transition into from somebody who's been, all of their lives riding an internal combustion bike. So
fascinating.
So where do you stand on electric bikes?
Have you got one yet?
I'm excited.
Okay. All right.
I've had lots of different brands. The past, I would say 8 years, I've been riding a 4-stroke Montesa, which is not the most popular bike in the trials world for most people. Tony Bow, the world champion, he does ride that bike, and but everybody says his bike is different. And it's a great, it's a great entry level bike. To what most people say is like anybody who's riding a club level, but when you get to the big, the big stuff, you can't do it on that bike, which we all know is not true. But at least in the trials, world, we all, we see this guy do things that are unbelievable. But for me, I just switched back to 2-stroke, and I think the electric stuff is cool. You can go out and ride without noise. You're not mixing gas anymore. I'll always know that's, what I love the most, smell and the fuel and things. But as far as electric, there's so many things that are going to be capable. I don't know how much it'll happen, but I think you're going to see forest lands be open more to, electric bikes when that time comes.
Super
Yeah,
green
It,
sticker.
it seems like if you think about for why a lot of people are reluctant to get into electric bikes, number one is the battery range, right, and the recharge time, and also the cost, because to be able to get that range, it's a high cost. But it seems like none of those exist in trials,
Yeah, the barriers are really different.
Yeah.
and you want all the power available when you need it. And use that control. So it seems like, and then also going out into natural spaces. Yeah. And not creating sparks or exhaust or noise.
Yeah.
Like that seems like it's a perfect fit. And I'm surprised that the electric companies aren't promoting the trials more.
Maybe they're trying and we're not listening.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing. I mean, if you follow trials, it is, everybody's, I think every manufacturer now has some type of prototype. Yamaha and Gas and Honda. Yamaha has been making what they call the Yamaha TYE. And I think it's been it's demo phase, test phases for 5 years, and with a rider on competing, every year. There's another company called Electric Motion. They have a production bike out and have had that production bike out even in the States, I think, for at least 5 years. So they're there, and they're they're a really good alternative for somebody that you're talking about. Wants to ride in a place. Trials is kind of like freestyle. It's freestyle riding, and if you want to ride in your backyard, if you live in L.A. and you've got a quarter of an acre and you've got a couple railroad ties in your backyard, you can get an electric bike and your neighbors aren't really going to be bothered much. If you're out there, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon with a 2-stroke dirt bike, they're going to say, hey, what are you doing? This isn't okay. So I think it definitely opens up some doors for things. And some people love them, some people hate them. And we see it just like the dirt bikes have. Some guys are, purists and some guys aren't.
So you mentioned that you did, was it the 6 days was it Scotland?
Mm.
Yep.
What's your favorite country to go ride in?
Well,
He's thinking about it.
An event was the hardest thing I ever did in my entire life. So, and I've only ridden, there and here. I've ridden a lot of different states, a lot of the West Coast and Western states.
And was that 6 days, is that actual trials or is it more of an enduro?
Like our 6 days?
Yeah.
So the Scottish 6 days is, and I don't know all the facts. It'd be a cool one to talk about on your show. The Scottish 6 days is the oldest still running motorcycle competition in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 days is, the 6 days enduro came from the 6 days Scottish, that's where it came from. And I think it was either 1906 or
1913.
1913, that was the first year?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, it was a long time ago. And, it's morphed into what it is today over that time, but it's so much different than what we do here as far as, that particular event. The Scottish 6 days is a standalone, one of a kind, different than anything else in the world when it comes to trials. It is the, if you're a trials enthusiast, it is the bucket list item. It is what everybody dreams of doing.
Yeah.
It is brutal. It's 6 days, 100 miles a day on your trials bike.
And I take it back. I was looking at the international 6-day trials, which is not the same as the Scottish, correct?
Yes.
With the international 6-day trials, 1913, and goes back to, we mentioned Malcolm Smith,
Right.
who won 8 gold medals doing that. So
Yes,
talk about one of the best riders.
Yeah.
The history of SSDT, Scottish 6-day trial. That'll give you maybe that information. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's so as far as my favorite place to ride is in my backyard because that's when I'm the best.
Superhero status.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
Well, when you ride the same rock, same log, same line 1,000 times over, your competitor comes over to your house and you can feel like a rock star for at least a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
If you guys are on the same level. When you get out of your comfort level, or your comfort zone, when I went to Scotland, to put this into perspective for you guys, I have been riding trials for a long time. I'm 44 years old. I have been the California, Sacramento Pits champion, I think 4 or 5 times at the top line in our club levels, which is not top national by any means. But I'm a pretty solid rider for my age and what I do. And, I have lots of trophies and I've done really well. When I went to Scotland, there's 288 riders, and I was explaining to you guys the point spread and how that works. The scoring is very similar, but in Scotland, you ride 6 days in a row, and it's all cumulative. And you ride 30 sections per day. So 30 times 5 times 6 would give you your maximum amount of points that you could have for the week.
900.
Yeah. So when I went over, I thought I would, I'd get a second place finisher's award, which would be, below 200th place. I think I finished 226th, I think. And I had somewhere around 500 points maybe for the week. First place had 18 points.
Oh my word.
Wow.
Wow.
I spent the majority of the week pushing my bike through the sections. Like,
It looks like a lot of wet everything. Wet rocks, wet grass, wet
sheep.
forest. Yeah.
yes, cold. We were fortunate. We had a really mild year, 2024. It's the first time I've ever gone. I applied again to get in this year. I hope I get in. It could be, 20 degrees out and blowing snow, and you got to go. It's you got 8 hours a day to complete your 100 miles, and it is brutal.
It sounds like a pretty good time.
Sounds like
Scotty's in.
Well, when you're signing up and you're training, you think this is the coolest thing ever. And, the first day, even before you get to section 1, you're like, oh my God, I'm in heaven. And then about 4 sections in, you think, I'm never making it. There's no way I'm going to get through this. And at least that was my experience. And every day was that. I just prayed that I could make it, and I wanted to finish. That was my goal that I set out for. And I learned a lot about myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, and walked away. I finished. I'm very, very happy that I finished. But man, yeah, tough stuff.
So I wanted to give you an opportunity to plug what you do, because you organize some events.
Yes.
Tell us what you do.
So, about 6 years ago, my wife and we started a series called Conquer the West. So we love to travel. I love getting out there, riding these different events. And when I moved to California, I was able to, in Pennsylvania, I rode, some Pennsylvania events, some Maryland events, some New York events. And when I came out here, I started realizing there's a lot of stuff out here too. And I traveled around and, got to know a lot of different people and realized there's all these great events throughout the West Coast and the Western states, all the way far back as, Montana and Wyoming and Colorado. And so what our series is it's a 10 event series typically. So we have 9 Western states, and two events in California. So out of those 10 weekends, you as a competitor would complete 2 days of the 4 weekends. And it's all attendance based. I'm not really everybody gets a trophy kind of guy, but to get out there and travel around and go to 4 different states across the western side of the country is a real feat. It's a real challenge. Costs a lot of money. And so we have sponsors. Trials Superstore and Loose Sport USA are our 2 major sponsors. And so at the end of the series, and the clubs also, pitch back to our contribution as well, but you get a custom jacket if you complete 4 weekends.
Is it satin?
Oh.
So it's usually
satin jacket. Oh.
it should be.
Kidding.
It usually costs you about $3,000 or $4,000 to get out there. It's probably the most expensive jacket a trials rider owns for sure. So that series, again, it's to benefit all these clubs. We have all these amazing clubs out there, and they all have that one event, that every year they put on. Some of the more notable ones are El Trial Trial is a Southern California event. I think they're close to like 54 years they've put this event on.
Cool.
The Ute Cup is in Colorado. That's another one that's, celebrated over 50 years consecutive. The British American Cup. There's just, the list goes on. If you ever, if you're interested in checking it out, we do have a website. We have an Instagram, and everything we have is Conquer the West. You can just search for Conquer the West Moto Trial Series, and it'll get you the links to all of the different things. But yeah, it's about getting out there, supporting those local clubs, experiencing what's going on in different areas, and just meeting people. Because the trials community it's all about friendship. There's no head to head. It's not like moto racing or hard enduro. You're never roosting the guy next to you unless you're just having fun with your buddy. It's one rider at a time, and you go out there and you challenge yourself, and then afterward you sit around the campfire talking about that section. It's an amazing thing. I think anybody motorcycle riding, no matter what it is, would fit very well into the trials, into the trials community.
Well, and before we let you go, I want to ask your advice, because I was looking up local trials bikes.
Yeah, I think we were all shopping right now.
And I want to see, because I think Scottie might be ready to go buy
I was looking
right
at that same
now.
one. Yeah, it looks cool.
So right near us, there's a 2002 Gas Pro with 92 hours on it for $2,500. Does that sound like a good deal?
I think every motorcycle that's for sale is veteran owned and, only has 10 hours on it. So I would just, if you're looking for a trials bike, go out, take a look at it. There's going to be normal wear and tear on it. You're going to see scratches. You're always going to see that stuff on the used trials bike. Guys are banging them through the rocks and stuff. But, it's just like any other bike. It should start, run, work well. The clutch should work well. And
what I also found on there that I really like, Emma's looking at it right now, is another beta trials bike, a 16-inch for a kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is cool. Like, this seems like a perfect entry for your kid, skills that they're going to be able to use. Like, how young do kids start this? How small are the bikes for kids?
So at events, we usually have a kids trial. Almost every event, every club has a kids trial, and there'll be kids on bicycles. They'll be on Striders all the way up, to full size bike. So they start them as barely walking. There's guys out there that they do all kinds of different stuff, and girls. It's for anybody, any age. If you got kids and you want to get them out there to an event, a lot of times they'll lend stuff out too. That's another big thing.
I love it.
And as far as used bikes go, there's so many avenues you can go. The used market's actually probably pretty good right now. And you can't go wrong. If you spend $3,000 to $5,000 on a bike, you typically would have a good machine. Parts availability is usually pretty good. Again, I think the best thing to do for anybody who's wanting to get involved is to talk to somebody who knows exactly that region. If you're in Southern California, get a hold of the local club riders and get plugged in, because that's really the best way. And get on a bike, try it out. I would say I'd love to tell everybody should own a trials bike, but like I said in the beginning, you might ride it and go, this is insane. I don't want to ride this bike at all. But I will say that on that note, give it some time, because your brain will change. Your body, it's so foreign to a rider of a different discipline that you have to give yourself a little bit of time. If you've ever seen the video of the guy who made the bicycle that would steer backwards.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's trials 100% for a regular dirt bike rider. Maybe not as extreme, but if you've been riding enduro or dirt racing and you're an A-class enduro rider and you've never been on a trials bike in your entire life, you're going to have to stop doing a lot of the things that you are programmed to do just instinctively. So to be a good trials rider, to really get a solid level of trials riding.
Well, Emma, did you know that I have an evil plan I'm trying to hatch?
Really?
I am.
Tell
Only
me all.
one.
Well, I'm hoping that we can talk Bryce into joining us for the Misfits rally.
So
that would be so
Rad.
So,
Right?
Bryce, every year we hold a rally at Hollister Hills SVRA. It's a wonderful time. It's like a 2 or 3 day camping. It's a very, very good scene. It's family friendly, so you can bring your wife and children. And everything gears around motorcycles. And we'd be absolutely thrilled if you join us and bring one of your bikes.
No, bring
Well, that's
many
all of
bikes and let
Well,
us
that-
try them.
Thing you got to do, get bikes for people to try out.
Yes.
And, it sometimes it's entertaining, sometimes it's very satisfying, sometimes it's very humbling. But getting on a bike is
But-
the thing.
I absolutely guarantee you, Bryce, if you join us, you will have a wonderful time.
Sure I
Both
will.
you and your family. It's a very, very good scene.
You'll probably take me to ride in some other kind of bike that I don't have yet.
Yes,
Well,
for
there'll
sure.
be,
Probably.
there'll be plenty of them.
Well, for you or anyone else wanting to attend our rally, it's going to be April 3rd through 6th at Hollister Hills, and I put a link in the show notes. So, Bryce, I will send you an official invitation. I would love it. I would love to share trials riding with more people. I think this is just another great thing just to be exposed to and try out. And it would be really awesome if you'd be able to come down for our rally and have some bikes to do some demos and maybe even offer if people want to take lessons and get some coaching. So hopefully that's something that interests you.
Well, we'll see if we can put something together for sure.
Sweet.
And and I just have a question. Like, let's say we don't have a trials bike, but we still want to play in the trials world. I have a Honda 450 dirt bike. Could I still do the drills and the practice on my normal dirt bike? Or it's probably better with a trials bike, of course. But
I think that if that was something you were interested in, it would be you'd need somebody who's going to coach you that had a lot of experience riding a big bike like that.
okay,
As a trial.
so have fun, do
But
it
we-
on the trials bike, have a good time.
But we already do.
Yeah,
We
for
set up, Bryce, we set up a challenge course in the campground. We've got the balance beam. We've got some tires you got to go over, sometimes the ladder, the little cones, weaving. We're already doing that.
Yeah.
Seems
that's
like,
it.
Yeah, true.
Clutch
yeah,
control stuff, yeah.
seems like the
Yes.
perfect thing to take it to the
Yep.
next level.
Yeah, GIMP mask.
Gimp mask, yeah.
Gimp
Yes,
mask,
that does come
the
into
gimp
play.
mask.
Yes.
I'm going to put on the gimp mask and jump over a giant concrete block. I can see it already.
Well, Bryce, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing trials riding. I think that it is something that is very intriguing. I will tell you, it is not for me. I have tried it. I wish I could because you need to have good knees.
You just got fresh ones.
I just got new knees,
Yeah.
so maybe next year I'll be
Yeah.
able to do it. But that is the thing. I think that like I said, all the reasons, I think that what you're learning translates and gives you more skills on other bikes and having that control. Plus, it's kind of fun to instead of avoiding that obstacle, to attack that obstacle, and knowing that Cody Webb, he's bringing his wired to attack it and to find the fastest path, not the easiest path.
Especially when you didn't expect that obstacle.
Yeah.
You're like, shit.
I know.
To have that confidence would be really nice.
So I wanted to thank you for coming on. I will provide a link to your website, the Conquer the West Trials. And if people are looking for coaching or just a mentor in California, is that something that you do, Bryce?
I do some coaching. People can just call me, if they can, or email, they contact and we can reach out, kind of get set up. So anybody in Northern California, if they don't get a hold of me, Sacramento Pits is another really good place to look. That is our local club. And there's a ton of resources there. That's where all the events are sanctioned through, through Sacramento Pits in Northern California. And I'll plug an event. There is an event this coming weekend in Keysville, which is up near Isabella.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Event is called the Kern River Classic. It's put on by a club, SSMC, so Southern Sierra Motorcycle Club. So you can check that out if you're looking to just watch. That would be a really cool one to go to. There'll be pro level riders there, I'm certain. Jeff Aaron, I'm sure you guys have heard that name before. His son, Jeff, I think was like I don't even know, a many champion, national champion. He was the man for a long time here in this country. So still is an amazing rider. So you get to see all of that stuff. And Scott Head, he's also one of the promoters for the event, and he actually, I think he even holds a world title. So definitely get out there and
cool.
check. So,
Fantastic. Bryce, thank you for being such a charming and passionate guest. And we really look forward to meeting you in person.
hope I can make it down.
I sincerely hope you can.
All right, I'll send you that email, and thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right,
fun,
see
Thanks,
ya.
Bryce.
So, Emma, I wanted to talk to you.
Trials.
Trials. There's a bike that
Oh,
I've always been curious.
You and your fucking reflex.
The Honda Reflex. I want to talk about the Honda Reflex.
It's not
Are
a
you guys all familiar with the Honda Reflex?
Yes, it's a scooter.
Yes.
No, not that one.
No, not a scooter.
Not that one.
No, it's not. It's not really a trials bike. It's a street bike that looks like a trials bike.
So, for people who don't know, tell us a bit about.
Well,
the Honda
there's
Reflex, not the scooter.
Not the scooter. So the name Reflex was regurgitated for the Honda Reflex scooter, but predating the scooter specifically for the 1986 model year, Honda came up with basically a 200cc dirt bike that emulated a lot of the features found in trials. And, you know, if you look at it, especially if you're a bit nearsighted, it looks quite authentic. Designation is TL200.
TLR.
TLR
It's
200.
beautiful gold wheels.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great looking thing.
Almost like a hurricane type
Yeah,
gas
yeah,
tank.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the gas tank. So
But I mean, the thing to understand about that
it's
bike.
like an XR200 kind of
Yeah,
engine.
it's a street bike.
Okay.
It's far too heavy to be a trial bike. Listen, I'm going to blow your minds. We need to go back another 10 years. And you need to look up the Suzuki Beamish 325.
The Beamish.
Beamish.
The RL325 Beamish, Beamish, the Beamish 325. And that was Suzuki's street offering. A gorgeous nickel-plated frame, fabulously expensive. It was as much as a 750, and yet here it is a 325. So mainstream manufacturers have always offered these bikes, and very much like the Honda TLR, really a street bike. I mean, you could ride the Beamish on the street. I remember a couple of friends had them, and they were street registered. But just a lovely looking thing, a little more authentic than the Honda because it was lightweight. You know,
Yeah,
did you find it, Scottie?
Yeah, I did. It's pretty cool. They're both really neat looking.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's the important thing. It's a look. It's a look.
I remember in the 80s when these came out, I thought they were
But-
kind of cool looking too.
The Beamish light bike, it was light.
Oh, it's very lightweight.
Yeah, yeah.
It's. I mean, in real terms, it's far more of a proper trials bike than the Honda. But they were both street legal. Like I say, I mean, most everyone. You know, the Beamish came with lights, or it came with a lighting kit as optional. You could kind of wrap a license plate around the back fender, and off you went.
Well, they're currently going for £3,600 at auction.
What a
Which
bargain.
is about $5,000. You know, it's a very, very highly thought of bike, and the frame. If you zoom in on the frame, it's just got this drop dead gorgeous nickel plated frame.
Nickel-plated frame. I don't know that I've seen.
So why did the
Nickel-plated
first
frames.
Reflex not stick around much longer than it did?
Don't look at me. I'm trying to send secret messages to Scotty.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not getting them.
The reason being, it
Not
didn't
received.
sell. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, the TLR 200 was available for 1986 and 1987 model years. And the dirty little secret, or the elephant in the room, the 1987 models were basically the 1986 models that were just left over.
But here's my question: is as Bryce was just explaining about the purpose of a trials bike, which is to strip everything off, make it as light as possible.
Yes.
Then it can't be, by definition, be a trials street legal bike because then you got to put all the things on.
Right. And
So what do they think? What were they thinking?
no, I mean, it was really giving that illusion that because it looked like a trials bike, yeah, by definition, it kind of is. I mean, just because you put a fairing on a bike, it doesn't make it a race bike.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like we see sport bikes getting sold all the time. People aren't racing them, and that's fine. They look like race bikes, and that's inspiring, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's all right. And how come any bike can't be a trials bike? Right? If you
trials,
any bike can be a trials bike if you're brave enough.
Exactly.
Hold on, can any scooter be a trials bike?
Absolutely.
I don't
brave
think
enough.
so.
We've rallied
If you're brave enough.
Take your 3 points. You got your trial scooter.
Gauntlet thrown. If Bryce actually comes to the rally, I will attempt to ride my Superglide over a log.
Oh my!
Oh my!
Wait, what?
No, I will attempt to ride my Superglide over a log.
No, you will not.
I will.
There are so many things that you will break, and then somehow you'll blame me for it.
No, I will. I blame you for everything that goes wrong in my life, Liza.
Bryce, if
What
you can
about-
hear us now,
The BSA Otter.
We want you.
The VSA?
Otter.
Yes.
Yes. I'm
Otter,
just
you
looking
buy
at that
one?
now?
Yeah.
Was it a trials bike?
It was, yeah.
Anyway, anywho, go on.
Yeah, I mean, they all look so rad.
The one thing that I really remarked upon when hearing Bryce describe how he got into it and how one can get in the trials was just the accessibility and that story of, I ride around my backyard, and your backyard's always there and that little bike is always right there. And it reminded me of how I really got into motorcycles was in my garage when I was a kid. There was my dad's Honda Shadow 800, but I couldn't ride that, and I sure didn't try to stand it up and almost knock it over. But then there was my mom's Honda Elite 50, which was, hey, can I ride it around the yard? Absolutely. So I would tool around the yard on the Elite 50 and jump over roots and up on the
So
curb.
it's a trials bike.
Yeah, exactly. That was my trials bike, was that little light bike that was a ton of fun. And what did I end up doing later on? As soon as I could, I ended up on my own Honda Shadow. So,
Right.
yeah, cool.
I will tell you a little secret about Dad's Honda Shadow. It became one of my all-time favorite bikes. Honda Pacific Coast is basically got a Shadow 800 engine.
It's a marshmallow.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Wow.
So if you take all the clothes off a PC 800, and remember, the engine lives in its own fiberglass box to keep the noise down, underneath everything, it's a Shadow 800.
Yes, but if you take all of the Toyota Corolla parts off of a PC800, it doesn't look like a PC800 anymore.
No, it looks like a Shadow 800.
Okay, but I want to go back. I want to go back to the Reflex. So, they made a bike that was not a good street bike, nor a good trials bike.
Was it the Human League who did Reflex?
It was the Reflex.
The Reflex.
That was Duran Duran.
No, it's Duran
Oh, yeah,
Duran.
Duran Duran.
Oh, I should have known that
Yes,
because
Duran
they're a
Duran.
Birmingham band.
They made a bike that wasn't good at either thing.
Simon Le Bon.
Yet they survive today, and I find it fascinating that people still collect them. What is your opinion of the Honda Reflex?
There is no such thing as a bad motorcycle. It's just even the most wretched motorcycle has at least one redeeming feature. And I've never ridden a TLR 200. I've no real wish to ride it. It doesn't push too many of my buttons because, I like my big bikes. I like physically big bikes. But fuck me, it's drop dead gorgeous, isn't it? It's a great looking bike. I mean, any bike that's red, white and blue with gold rims is
There it is.
Oh, it's a
okay.
beautiful looking
It's
bike.
okay with me. But I tell you what, Bryce was going on about the little Yamaha TYs. If you look at a 1974 Yamaha TY 250, oh God, what a pretty little bike. They were two-tone yellow and white. And it was kind of like, and it was a really clever paint job because I can't remember if it was yellow on the top or white, but it kind of worked with the exhaust system as well. And just look how pretty that thing
Nice
is.
yellow trim, big, nice cream white kind of gas tank.
Yeah.
It's beautiful looking bike.
It's tra-la-la.
Well, I've always been enamored by the Reflex, but it would be interesting to try. But
The
it
Reflex.
seems like we need to try something, maybe something more modern. We'll see.
Okay.
Like I said, I tried them once in England, but I couldn't get my ass up because my knees.
Well,
weren't
because your
good
knees, but you've got new knees now.
yeah. Well, still, but I still think I think trials is very interesting, and I'm hoping I can convince Bryce to come out and have that be something we try. And Hollister Hills, there's so many places to try them out.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
It's such a great venue to try something new.
Yeah.
I haven't decided what I'm bringing to Hollister Hills yet.
Whatever can get down the hill without you crashing.
Whatever goes over a log.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, Rufus was quite terrifying going down the hill.
Yes. Yeah, that's not the ideal.
It's not the ideal.
Steed to ride
However-
down
Why
the-
don't you just get a DR650? You keep saying.
I should, but the key for me, are we going to be in the same campground?
Yeah.
Because I can go in and out with
Oh.
that same little one-way road.
that road.
But then you do risk being in a one head-on collision.
Well, I'm not going to.
Because it is a one-way.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. That's what I do. You know, it's on a street bike.
Well, let's get to some emails. I got a quick one here, and Emma, you know what? I'll just give it to you. You should you can
All
read
right.
both of them because that's the first one. It's
Oh,
directed to
and
you.
actually, Rowdy is my hero, and we're going to come to why Rowdy's my hero in a
Ooh.
minute. Rowdy Reimer, hello, darling. Emma, I heard you talking about variable valve timing in episode 599. You mentioned something about a VVT system that was actuated by oil pressure. Yes, that's how they work, Rowdy. With such a system, could overfilling or letting your oil level get too low affect the valve timing in a way that diminishes performance? Yes, but not overfilling. So I want to be very, very quick. Overfilling your system doesn't actually affect the oil pressure initially, because all it means is you've got a lot of oil slooshing around in the crankcase or under the piston, and it does things like break piston rings, blow gaskets and stuff like that, which may eventually lead to oil loss. However, the real culprit is letting your oil run low. If your oil runs low, you start losing oil pressure, and low oil pressure will absolutely affect a VVT system. Another thing that will affect a VVT system is dirt. You will find that the passageways to feed the VVT are very, very small. So there's an additional oil screen on the cylinder head specifically to pick up very, very small particles that the oil filter's missed. And when they block, your VVT doesn't work. And you'd be surprised if you've ever ridden or driven a vehicle or ridden a bike with VVT, like your Interceptor. If the VVT goes out, oh God, they're so flat and boring.
Now, Emma, when you're low on oil, we just give you gin. Can
Yes.
you put gin in a VVT?
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
And
there you go.
then it'll start opening the valves with
It
a
lifts
British,
her right up.
there
with
a
a British accent. I'm not finished yet. P.S. Please remind Liza that Jeeps are not motorcycles. Yes! Rowdy, you're my hero.
Hey,
You get a T-shirt.
is there
No, I think that is worth a free T-shirt.
is there a special service to clear off that filter?
I mean, it's scheduled maintenance in a lot of vehicles. I think the motorcycles, yours doesn't have. It's got a separate screen, but it's not part of a maintenance schedule because oil gets changed more often in a motorcycle. Every single Honda car on the road actually has cleaning the screen, the VVT screen, as part of scheduled maintenance. And if it gets blocked or even partially blocked, it'll pop on the check engine light before you diminish performance. So it'll tell you in advance. And so then you need to find out where the VVT screen is and pull it and thing. But yeah, keep the oil clean in your bike because performance is vital. Yours is a Gen 1, isn't it?
Gen 5.
So it's
It's an O2.
Oh yeah, but it's the Gen 1 with the VVT.
Yes.
So it's got the nice kick in the pants.
Yes, it does.
They ironed that out for the later models.
Cowards.
Yeah, they did. But they did the same with the Suzuki Tillers. So there you have it.
All right. Jim, you got one there to read?
If you'll notice, I brought glasses
You did.
tonight
You look
for this
so
moment.
adult right now.
I'm so glad you gave me. Tell me you're old without telling me.
No, you look very cerebral in your glasses.
I
They're
feel
a good
quite
match for you.
cerebral.
Yeah.
I think we need to get him a jacket that has leather patches on the elbows.
and a pipe.
We
As
need
long
to
as
get him
it's
on
satin.
Jeopardy.
As long as it's satin. I want my satin jacket. So, hey,
What
I
shit?
can read now.
Shit that's been sat in.
Oh, my. With script on the back. Pink. All
Big
right.
lady.
Okay, we have an email. Let's see, from Six Bike Garage. So this is on from Muscle Bikes. Okay. I'm a week behind on the podcast. Like that, it's from literally Six Bike Garage. I'm a week behind on the podcast, but I'm just listening to your muscle bike conversation, and I have to throw this out there. When I think of muscle bikes, I immediately think of the 80s pre-sport bike era and the Japanese manufacturers.
Agreed.
Emma, I think you might like part of this email. While I won't deny the VMAX is the epitome of the muscle bike, I think the Honda CBX, the Kawasaki KZ13, and the Suzuki GS1150E,
Yeah.
that in the mid-'80s was making 130 horsepower. Very fast bike, and
Yes.
a looker. So anyway, he was throwing those out, the KZ1300,
No,
the Suzuki GS1150.
and I'm inclined to agree with him. I mean, those are all examples of muscle bikes before we really coined the phrase muscle bikes. I mean, there was a time in the late 70s and early 80s, Japan was making big power.
So the Suzuki was air-cooled still?
Yes.
Which
Oh,
seems,
yes.
right? Okay. Was that
Yes.
good or bad?
Oh, yes, good.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the thing is, unless you've actually had the opportunity...
Because they already had the Water Buffalo out by now, right?
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
the Water Buffalo was kind of
Complete
like,
different thing.
it was a different thing.
Yeah.
Unless you've ever had the opportunity to ride a big air-cooled 4 or a
Inline
big
4.
or a big inline air-cooled 6 like the CBX. KZ13 was liquid-cooled. It was really quite a refined beast. But a big air-cooled 4 like a KZ1000 or a GS1000 or a GS1150, fuck me, they're amazing. And there's just this visceral quality about them, and they don't sound like liquid-cooled bikes at all. Like a Bug doesn't sound like a normal little car.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely a noise to a big air-cooled bike. Next week I'll bring the GS850. It is an epic sounding
Cool.
bike.
Okay.
And it's not a particularly big bike, but it's 4-cylinder, it's air-cooled, it's mooty, and it's got its own sound. They all had their own sound to them.
And did you do the 4-into-1
Oh, yes.
on that? Yes.
I'd put 4-into-1s on anything because you got to wake them up a bit. I grieve for that time because the bikes were just so great. It's Emma's happy place. I mean, out of everything I own, like the Harley, like Rufus, and the belong in a place, my true happy place is on a late 70s superbike. It's just a lovely place to be.
All right, you got one there for us?
Yeah, I got one here. This is from Eric Hermstad.
Eric.
Dear Misfits, I want to thank you for expanding my motorcycle horizons.
Ooh.
I started riding in dirt in 1974. Yes, I beat Miss Emma. But I stopped around 1990. In 2018, I bought a white KTM Dual Sport and started riding again. I've always been an anti-streetite. But after listening to your show, I decided to try a bike that's more street-worthy. I bought a totaled 2016 Ducati 803 Scrambler Icon off an insurance auction, and I'm in the process of fixing it up.
Very cool.
Very bold.
Very bold.
I'm learning a lot about these bikes, including desmodronic valves and other weird things. Since Miss Emma does work on Ducatis, I would like to hear her opinion on these bikes for someone who can do their own work on it. I also want to apologize to Miss Emma, because the first time I heard the podcast, being a male chauvinist pig, I thought she was an English gentleman that sounded like a lady, not realizing that a lady could be so intelligent about motorcycle mechanics. Well, we've all learned and grown.
No, I mean, I'm not going to lie and say desmodromic valve operation is particularly simple, but it is an easy enough task to master. There are no shortcuts. Get your manual, study your manual, understand your manual. The worst that's going to happen, the absolute worst that's going to happen, is you're going to drop a valve into the combustion chamber. And you can mitigate that happening. because there are tricks, particularly on the back cylinder. And the trick I use on the back cylinder is I've got an old piece of fuel line I feed in through the spark plug hole, and I try and get as much of it into the combustion chamber as I
you're
can.
packing it in there.
Packing it in there so that if the valve drops, because you do these at TDC,
Right.
so if the valve drops, it's not going to drop irretrievably. That is the worst thing that's going to happen. But as long as you understand the concept of what's going on, you understand the steps you need to take. Remember, there are no shortcuts, and you understand the concept of cam timing. I don't know anyone else who does Ducati cam timing like I do, because I'll do both at exactly the same time in a really weird spot. And it's a spot I know works on the single cam ones. I've got a spot I use on the twin cameras and a spot I use on the single cameras, and the 803 is a single cam. And what I'll do is I'll put it in this particular spot that's in my head, lock it, lock the cams, lock the crank, and then just pull both belts off and put both belts on at the same time, which you kind of have to anyway.
But it sounds like you're not recommending that
No.
for a first timer.
No.
Follow the book.
Follow the book.
Follow the book, follow the exact steps. I mean, Ducatis are great. The simple air-cooled ones, like the 803s. It's a punchy little bike. It's you know, you'll be laughing in your helmet first time you actually ride it, and you'll be more so because you were the one that brought it to life.
Is there anything else you might warn Eric about on a auction scrambler 803?
Well, I mean, you know, fuck me, the price of parts is going to straighten your hair a bit.
Get them now.
Yeah, and I mean, well,
It doesn't look terrible. I mean, it doesn't look
yeah, I
terribly
mean,
beat up.
you know, when it can mount up. I remember, and if we have time, a very brief anecdote. Back when I worked at Monterey Peninsula, we actually had a gentleman buy an 803. I think it was an RST. It was Roland Sands replica. Brand new. Absolutely brand new at the showroom floor. Next day, it was back.
Oh.
And he'd bounced it off a curb.
Oh.
And cracked the crankcase.
Ouch.
And it was a total.
How so?
With 10 miles on it.
Not meant to be.
Total with 10 miles on it. And
That's
he
sad.
just cracked the crankcase, you know, with one bolt. And
Well,
of course, it went to Copart, which is where all insurance write-off bikes did. And I thought, the lucky guy who bought that, because now I'm a Copart agent. I mean, I can buy bikes from Copart, but back then I couldn't. And I thought, the guy who buys that bike, all he's going to do is he's going to take the screw out, JB weld it, put it all back together, and then he's down the road for a brand new. And I mean, I swear, this thing had 10 miles on it. And it was a gorgeous bike because it was silver, blue. It was instead of red, white, and blue, it was silver, blue, and red with gold wheels.
Bang.
Gorgeous looking thing. RSD badges on it.
Beautiful. But that's what I was thinking. JB Weldon, you're down the road.
Well, you know, JB Welder is your friend.
Oh, I know. I don't leave home without it.
Emma,
And
you got
safety wire.
another email to read there, and
I
then
do.
Bagel, you're coming last.
I do indeed.
I saved the best for that.
Do you want my glasses?
No. This is from Mary Kay Bruton.
Hey, Mary Kay.
Hey, Mary Kay.
Huzzah, motherfuckers.
Huzzah! Bitches.
I hope you're all having an excellent Thanksgiving holiday. Well, we already talked about that, and we did. Y'all were... Oh, this is Florida speak, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, Mary
Okay.
Kay is a
Y'all.
Floridian.
Y'all were... They have buffet in Florida. You go to the buffet? Y'all were asking about the tree fitty when reading my email last week. Thank you for the advice. And I just wanted to let you know where I am in the refurbish. It's not a restoration by any means, just to get it running safely. Good-o. So we are having sunny Santa Cruz weather here in the Florida Panhandle now. 50s at night and 75 during the day. Oh, well, that's quite pleasant, isn't it? So I'm back in the garage working on the wheels. I got all new bearing and seal kits, drum brake shoes, rim straps, tubes, and tyres, or tyres with a Y for Emma, because that is how I spell tyres. I also put an extra syllable in aluminium, so there. I got the next 4 days off, so I have to get the tyres done. Wish me luck on not pinching the chub. Mary, don't pinch the tube.
Good luck, Mary.
Yes. New parts I have purchased and waiting to install include roller drive chain, front and back sprockets, clutch rod oil seal.
Is this your Floridian accent?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was having a
You
stroke.
guys couldn't tell?
Speedometer cable, throttle cable, fuel line, voltage regulator / rectifier, spark plug boots, spark plugs, and bits and bobs. I'm sure Bob will be absolutely thrilled. Other new parts are to be decided. I got enough now to keep me busy. Thanks for asking about my progress, Mary K. How
Nice.
about that?
Nice.
Mary.
I love these projects.
And you know, the thing is about Florida is when she has finished that bike, there won't be any hills to contend with because there are no hills to be found in Florida.
I replaced a rear tire on my Yamaha YG1 this afternoon, and I found a trick to make sure I don't replace an inner tube, or I don't pinch the inner tube.
Mm.
Buy a new inner tube before you do the thing, and there's no use for it. I won't
Oh,
get to
well,
use
right.
You have it.
There is
Yeah.
there is a school of thought, Scottie, that, and I'm kind of an advocate of this, new tire, new tube.
Yeah.
You should always put
Yeah.
a new tube. Now, there are all kinds of factors because Liza, being Liza, would buy the cheapest of the cheap Chinese inner tube. And my argument would be a 20-year-old Bridgestone tube is far better than a cheapo Filippo Temu brand new inner tube. But generally, new tire, new tube is definitely the way to go.
Well, I love everyone and their projects. And in fact, our friend Matt has a new project.
Ooh.
Bagel, you want to tell everyone about this?
Yeah. So we have an email from Matt Barlow. He writes,
Hello, Matt.
He writes, "Hey there. Welcome to Motorcycles and Some Other Shit. Coming
Jeeps.
coming to you from my freezing garage in cold and cloudy Utah.
Oh, God.
For realsies, though, hello to our good friends in Santa Cruz and Oregon. This is Utah Matt, and I'm sadly settling into the reality that winter is here and street riding is limited to the occasional warm afternoon when it's above 40 degrees and the streets are clear. Very sad. But he says, I'm getting plans and parts ready to start maintenance and hanging out in the garage, staying close to the heater while I tinker and dream of great riding. Congratulations on 600 plus episodes. I started listening back in the 40 to 50 episodes, and I feel like I've been in the garage with you during the past several years. It's been a trip to hear the evolution of the garage and the podcast.
You guys remember, Matt, he came out for our 500th party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember Matt. Oh my
Yes.
God, what
Yeah.
the fuck is this thing?
Well, keep going, Bagel.
So, kind of like the changing faces and bikes at the garage, I think the rest of us at home in the cheap seats have aged or matured. Oh hell no. Or enjoyed new adventures and goals in riding. I've been riding since the mid 90s when I wanted to be as cool as bounty hunter / bike rider Lorenzo Lamas in the cheesy TV series Renegade. And since then, I've had cruisers, standards, dirt bikes, a gold wing for about 2 months. Got that out of my system. Sport bikes and sport tourers. I've had some close calls and done some sketchy stuff on bikes, but I may have just made one of my most questionable decisions to date. I bought a used scooter. While checking out local auctions, I found a cranberry red Buddy 125 that followed me home.
Nice.
Good choices were
Yeah.
made here.
Good choice.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
I fought my bike curious urges for years. Not now I'm embracing my truth. I'm so stoked to get this sweet ass ride running at full chooch. So after years of street and dirt riding, I'm finally ready for scooters. I bought it with a clean title but no key. So I'm taking it slow and easy, but hope to have it ready to ride soon. And there's another bonus. My oldest son is 14. He has humored me in the past and ridden dirt bikes and pit bikes with me, but it was never his thing. He has been so excited about this scooter and has been by my side as we cleaned the carb, changed the oil, installed a new ignition, pulled the body panels off, and removed the burnout starter from this buddy. I think he has enjoyed tinkering on the scooter as much as I've enjoyed him being by my side.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And this may be the most lengthy and memorable Buddy 125 repair ever.
Okay, though.
Yep. And like the phases of the garage, we all go through stages of riding and making memories with bikes, friends, and family. Who knows what we'll be doing as episode 700 comes and goes. But I know that the stories, laughs, adventures, and tires will just keep on rolling. Have some killer tacos from next door for me, and keep up the great work. Now we're out of here. Cool. And take us out of here, John. Acapella singing out through.
Thanks so much. That's an awesome.
No, Matt's
Yeah.
a good egg.
Yes.
He-
good
So,
egg.
Anybody named Matt.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely am 100% with you that is a great purchase for Buddy 125. It looks like it's got a Prima stainless steel exhaust on it too, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, I think you should have no trouble get that up and running soon. And definitely write in and let us know how it is once you get it running.
Now, with that exhaust, Bagel, do you think it's going to sound sweet, or will it sound like a gentleman having an accident in his trousers?
Some
Um,
lamb
It'll
vindaloo.
be a little bit louder. You might see if it's your thing. If it's not, I'm sure you could switch back to a stock exhaust. But
In fact, I have an announcement to make.
Oh, are you
Well,
pregnant?
no, but I mentioned our rally, the Misfits rally, link in the show notes, April 3rd
3rd.
through, yeah. We may be giving away a Buddy scooter.
Oh.
really,
My buddy.
This is what I'm working on.
Wait,
Buddy.
wait. A pink one?
My buddy
Yes.
for
A
free.
running
oh,
one?
nice.
Yes.
Can we paint bubbles on it? Or maybe an elephant. We could paint it like an elephant.
Would the elephant blow bubbles?
I love that
Okay.
idea.
Simmer down again. So the Buddy scooters are great scooters. They're just fun. And we abuse the heck out of them at Vintage Days, thanks to Unky Phil, who lets
And
us
they
ride them.
Keep going back for
Yeah,
more.
but they're great little scooters, and so we may be giving one away. I'm figuring out how we're going to do that, but I think it's a great place.
Well,
to
I
do.
think we need a competition.
A poetry contest.
Maybe we make it the trial scooter.
Oh,
Community trial scooter.
I like the sound of that.
Let's see
Slippery
what
when
Bryce
wet.
thinks of
That
that.
poor buddy.
A big thanks again to Bryce for coming on and sharing trials. Does that pique your interest?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh, before we wrap it up, though, I do have one other announcement. We are doing, again, the second annual Misfits Desert Hair Weekend. Sorry you can't make it, but better things to do. So anyway, it's going to be January, roughly the 16th to January the 21st or 22nd. So
That's a week.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it great?
That's what he calls it, a weekend.
I know, right? So this is a come when you can, come as you are kind of event.
Bring wood.
And this is in Southern California.
Yes, this is in Southern California, a place called Johnson Valley, which is home to King of the Hammers or King of the Motos as well. I think we're like 16 miles as the crow flies from where they do that event. But it's open desert, a huge variety. There's rocks, there's sand, there's everything in between. A lot of fun though. So it's just a gathering. So just come on out. I'll send Liza the stuff. She can post it, like the GPS coordinates and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's BLM land. Bring a tent, bring some firewood, have a good time.
Bring a gun.
If you're
Things that
interested,
go boom are highly encouraged.
if you're interested in coming, just send us an email
Yeah.
at motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com,
Thank you.
and I will forward it to Jim, who can coordinate.
Yes.
And if you're interested in anything else, like finding out where else we're going to be, like the one show that's coming up in Vegas that we're all
Vegas, baby.
excited about. Yeah.
Are you guys?
Matt,
are
you're
y'all,
talking about coming.
No, I'm
maybe.
talking about riding out there.
Yeah.
Are y'all doing a ride for that?
Yeah, I expect to be
I
doing
think
some
I'm going
kind
to
of a
be
ride.
driving out there, not riding, because I might be bringing a car full of stuff. We're working on
figure
big
it out.
Chase
plans.
truck.
Well,
We got big
Chase
plans.
truck.
My plan is flying out Southwest
I am
with
flying
Jim.
also. Yes.
However, if for whatever reason, Jim, if you're riding, I'll drive.
Oh, I'm not
out
going to
with
ride.
you.
I don't have time for that. I wish I
Yeah.
did. I would love
Yeah,
to ride.
well,
but no,
we'll
it's
figure
a
it out.
quickie for me.
Maybe you should ride the Nikon.
I'd be up for that.
That'd be a comfortable way to go.
There you go. So anyway, go to motorcyclesandmisfits.com and you can find out more information where we're going to be, all the links. I finally updated the calendar. Thank you. I did it. Yeah, we've got so much we're working on. It's exciting. Bagel, are you going to be at the rally?
I will be there.
Oh, well, then we need to have
So-
the trial scooter. There you go.
Yeah.
I think
Feels like the only option.
I should point out, by the way, Bagel spent the entire week at Miss Emma's house, and you lived to tell the tale, didn't you?
Indeed, it was lovely.
Salubrious accommodation.
Yes, it was very comfy.
Comes with a cat.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, it comes with a
very,
cat.
very sweet kitty cat.
Yeah, and she
Sophie's lovely.
spent all day looking for you.
Aww.
Do you know what time it is for the show? Who do we think?
What?
She's looking at me blankly, like she's never heard this before.
What?
It's our
No,
Patreon sponsors, right?
Thank you to
we are actually going to thank our Patreon subscribers. Forgive me, who are easily the finest human beings on the face of human. I know
I'm
you
one of
are.
those.
Thank you.
No, I know you are, and you have taken advantage of the Patreon thing. Truthfully, joking aside, it's really the only way we can survive in the form we're at. And so we are so grateful to Patreon subscribers, whether you contribute a lot or a little. Can we open up one more?
No,
No, we can't.
no, we're good. We're good.
All right then.
We are good. But yeah, you go to motorcyclesandmisfits.com. You'll find links to everything there, including we have shirts for sale. But
Including-
most of all, we like to thank just everyone, our listeners. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you guys. Send us your emails.
They love us. They've really
Keep
love
them
us.
coming. I want to know more about what projects people are working on.
Yeah, it's getting to that time of year. I want to know all about projects. Spend time with your bike. I mean, this is the third week we've said this. Even if you can't ride your bike, spend time with your bike. Lay hands on your bike. Figure out how you want to make your bike better for the spring. And I want to hear about it. I want to hear what you're doing with your bike.
And I want to hear from you Jeep owners. Okay, thanks everyone. Time to get out of here. This is Liza.
This is Numbnuts Matt.
This is not Jeep Emma.
Scottie.
Naked Jim, son.
Bagel.
And we are out of here.
Cool.
Cool.